Greetings, friends, and welcome to another episode of The Mistake Zone, your weekly dose of our lives and the mistakes within them. My name is Jaron Wade. Joining me, as always, one of my best friends in the whole wide world, Matt Alba. Hey, Matt.
Yo.
How are you doing?
Jaron, I'm doing kind of bad right now.
Matt? That's unfortunate, Matt. That's unfortunate. Wait, Matt?
Mm-hmm.
Are you doing bad right now, or are you doing bad right now, if you know what I mean?
I'm doing bad. I think right now.
Okay.
Right
Matt,
now?
what's up?
Right now.
What's up,
Jaron?
Matt?
Jaron? I'm getting messed up by RNG and Arknights right now, Jaron.
Oh, no. Matt,
Oh, man.
as someone who just closed Arknights so I could record this pod, I feel like with Arknights in particular, I'm in this weird spot where back in my Arknights heyday, whenever there would be a new event, I guess the event right now, the one that corresponds with Typhoon, those events are pretty small in terms of the medals or the in-game achievement system where, events like this, it usually comes with 2 medals, 2 achievements, and they're relatively simple to get. But in terms of everything else, when we get to the beefier events, something like the one a few weeks ago that came with one of the limited characters, or some of the side modes, whether it be the roguelite mode or the IS mode, like whatever strategy mode. I used to be all in on those, but I feel like ever since contingency contracts left the game, I've stopped really going all in on events. No longer am I trying to get all the medals. No longer am I trying to get like a trimmed medal, which is essentially a challenging version of a achievement. I'm mostly going there, clear all the stages once using a guide just so I can get my premium currency. And I think I'm pretty much done where if I'll log in to do my dailies real quick, but I'm not, trying to optimize my sanity. And I feel like that's where I am at Arknights right now, where I'm autopiloting Arknights, where I still enjoy it. I still want to roll for limited characters, but I'm not Matt, let's just say I'm more invested in Nikkei, Goddess of Victory, in comparison to Arknights. But that's kind of where I'm standing with Arknights right now. But Matt, you're feeling a bit down. Why do you feel down with Arknights RNG?
Jaron, I'm getting cranked trying to pull for Typhoon right now.
Oh, Matt, I hate to admit it, but I was able to roll her within 20 rolls.
Oh my God.
And I felt real good about that. But Matt, how many pulls are you up with Typhoon?
Jaron, I'm 100 pulls deep and I haven't pulled her.
That's really rough.
I've gotten 3 6-stars in that like time. I just haven't gotten.
Now I'm curious, which 6 stars did you roll?
Swire, the Elegant, Genosis, and Huliak. Huliak? Snake Lady. I don't know how to say her name.
Snake Lady is probably one of my favorite designs in the game. I think Genosis is one, when you know where to use him, I feel like he can be he's up there, not necessarily, I wouldn't say A tier, triple A tier, maybe double A tier then again, my triple A tier is kind of skewed where it's only the 6 characters I'll always bring in because I can most likely use those to auto level. Or in terms of when I search Arknights event AFK, Genosis isn't necessarily one of those AFK units, but one of the fun units where if you find out where to use them, you can use them. Swire, that's swimsuit Swire, right?
I mean, I guess I don't know if it's really a swimsuit.
Or beachwear. Like that's essentially the altar from the last event.
I mean, like it's her altar, from
yeah. Matt, I don't know any use of her to be honest.
Yeah. Like I don't really have like a use for most of these things. I think I might use Huli because I don't really have a solid caster, but
true.
Jaron, Genosis kind of just looks like if you were to make Dr. Mario like super pretty. and like I guess like younger. That's like the
Yeah,
vibe that Genosis gives to me.
I can actually see that, Matt. And Matt, I see you with trying to stay on topic for this episode,
Mm-hmm.
where Matt,
Mm-hmm.
you know me, I never want to drop a goof. So if it wasn't clear, this is also one of our vault episodes that we're sharing while you are on vacation. So Matt,
Mm-hmm.
third or fourth vault episode in a row. I can't tell anymore, but gotta ask you, what do you think you're doing right now?
Jaren, I believe that right now I might be freezing my butt off in Sapporo.
Oh, Matt,
Mm-hmm.
have you, in terms of your planning, have you looked into what the weather will be when you guys will be there in a few weeks?
Yeah, it's kind of weird, Jaren, because like, so I'm starting on the west end of Japan, where it's basically like summer, like pseudo spring to summer weather. The highest temperature is like 22. Lowest temperatures at night are going to be like 7. And I don't know, that's like generally spring fall weather, I think. After that, we're going to Hokkaido, the Hokkaido area, and then it drops to like 6 as the highest, and then it's going into the negatives at the low end.
Matt,
Mm-hmm.
I literally don't know how I would pack for a weather shift that drastic.
Mm-hmm.
Where I wish you luck, Matt. I wish you luck in your packing
Mm-hmm.
for in that regards. But as we said in the vault episode, to kind of at least let it appear that we're on schedule during our mini hiatus. But in this episode in particular, Matt, you brought this up where if there's one thing that I associate with the Mistake Zone with Saturday Morning Arcade, it's we can talk about some Smash.
Mm-hmm.
And this will be kind of a take on the Smash Brothers roster. But Matt,
Mm-hmm.
before we get into that, you could say I'm a little parched. So,
Uh-huh.
Matt, still at it. Jaren's Kira Kira Sparkling Water review. And Matt,
Mm-hmm.
I have another LaCroix beverage, another LaCroix sparkling water beverage to be exact, this week. And that is the peach pear flavor. Matt,
Mm-hmm.
this is an interesting combination, in my opinion, just because when I think peach and pear together, I usually associate that with, just two elements of a fruit punch.
Uh-huh.
When I think of a fruit punch, your basic red drink and the fruit that is displayed on a label.
Mm-hmm.
So just to have peach and pear on its own, I'm pretty excited for this, but
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
here we go.
Mm-hmm.
This is actually really good, Matt, I'm actually pleasantly surprised at
Oh, nice.
LaCroix's peach pear beverage, where I feel like every time I've talked about LaCroix in the past, it has just this way it attacks your tongue, where you'll have a initial hit towards the mid, and then it will kind of drag to the tip of your tongue with the aftertaste. And with peach pear LaCroix, I just want to take another sip just to make sure I have my thoughts with me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Jerry, you got to remember to aerate the drink as you pull it in.
Oh, good point. Good point. But I do like how, again, despite the can saying naturally essenced, with a lot of sparkling water, I do kind of point it back to that artificial taste that I kind of associate with the different flavors, where with the peach pear drink, I do get that hint of, sour peaches, gummy peaches, at least, that peach taste I associate with peach candy, where I get that initially, but you can still taste that subtle pear aspect as well. That just reminds me of me biting into a pear that, we used to have at my parents' house, pear trees in the backyard.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm totally getting that vibe, at least kind of in the middle. Like just a hint of that pear that complements that peach overall. And then with that aftertaste, you get more of the peach flavor. Where Matt, I actually really like this.
Nice,
Where
nice.
gotta take another drink, Matt.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. No, I really do like that peach taste. Matt, this is nostalgia to me. It gives me that, peach candy taste. It gives me that essence of eating a pear, where I do find this really refreshing. And Matt, I know in terms of our vault episodes that I put that strawberry calamansi from President's Choice probably as, that's my standard, that's my favorite, but that's my tried and true go-to. But after, resonating with Peach Pear LaCroix a bit, I think Peach Pear LaCroix might be top 2, Matt, where
Oh man.
it tastes like nostalgia to me, Matt, just based on growing up. I do like that hint of peach or hint of pear and the peachness, where Matt, I think while the strawberry calamansi is my tried and true, that's old reliable. But if I have to reward bonus points for actually completing the assignment, because I believe last time I told you about the strawberry calamansi, didn't get the strawberry, didn't get the calamansi, but here I get the peach, I get the pear. So I think, Matt, stay with me here. I think I'm going to put this LaCroix Peach Pear number 1 on Jaren's Kira Sparkling Water Power Rankings, just because it's refreshing, it's nostalgic, and it gets the job done. It says what it's going to do. And Matt, I like things that say what they're going to do. So I'm going to be sipping on this throughout our episode while we talk about Smash Brothers. But Matt, before we move on, since you're going to be on vacation when this episode comes out, what do you think? What is your go-to convenience store drink? Before you start your day, you stop by a convenience store, you get something just to carry with you to sip on as you go on. What's your go-to convenience store drink?
Jaren, I think that's an easy one for me. For when we're hitting the combini here in Japan, it is a Calpis Zero.
Oh, so good, Matt. So good. Matt, in terms of or convenience store beverages, where do you fall on canned coffee or, the convenience store coffee? Are you, do you like to get the cold ones out of the hot fridge, or do you just, kind of avoid that aspect of it?
I mean, if I'm going to get a coffee, I usually go for any of the cold cafe au laits. That tends to be like where I go with that. Because Jared, I'm not really a fan of drinking hot drinks.
Matt, I'm always wowed by the hot fridges every time I see them when I was on vacation in Japan or Korea. So I actually gravitate towards those, at least towards the morning. But if it's not the morning, depending on how I'm feeling, I'm most likely going for a cold drink. And that, I know there are a lot of different brands, probably better brands out there, but I'm a coffee boss boy, man. I'm a coffee boss boy.
Actually, you know what, Jared? Since I'm in cold Hokkaido right now, I might have changed between when we recorded this and then, so I might be going in on those hot coffees.
So Matt, can't wait to get an update on you when you return. What the drink situation was like. So Matt, for I guess the main event of this episode, because I guess Matt. Unfortunately, I was trying to make a goof of, how about that piece of news that will most likely happen whenever this episode releases in the future. But most likely, given the current state of the video game industry, it's probably pretty bad. So let's return to something that we at least have a firmer grasp on here on the Mistake Zone, here on Saturday Morning Arcade. And that, again, is Smash Brothers, where we both have the Smash Brothers Ultimate, fighter list open in front of us. So, Matt, what are we doing with this list today?
So, Jaren, we are going to go through the Smash Brothers Ultimate Fighters list. And we are going to, on the, eve might be too early of a way to say this, but on the eve of the Switch 2, there is obviously going to be a Smash Brothers game on the Switch 2.
Yes.
And I think one of the big things for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is that it is the ultimate one. I think previously they had said that this is probably going to be the biggest Smash Brothers game if it's not like the final one. And I don't at all believe that it could ever be the final one.
Too much money on the table, Matt, for it to be the final one.
Mm-hmm. But I do believe that Switch 2's Smash Brothers is going to be scaled back.
Yes.
So, Jaren, I think that what we should be doing in this episode is looking at the Super Smash Bros. Ultimate roster, and then character by character, we will kind of like put forward whether we think they are going to be a starting character in Switch 2's Smash, an unlockable character, a eventual DLC character, or if they are not coming back at all.
Which is kind of a fair, task to take. But before we begin that, I feel like we need to contextualize it just a bit. Where with Super Smash Brothers, with, Ultimate in itself, this is the end-all be-all of Smash Brothers. But as you said, Matt, I fully expect there to be a new Smash on the next Nintendo platform. And I think when we think about the next Smash, there are some caveats that we really need to kind of consider. Mainly, there's all this discourse when it comes to the next Smash Brothers of, will Sakurai come back? Will he return to, direct, to produce this game? And just the logistical aspect of it, of will it be the same Smash Brothers or will it try to tweak the formula? And I guess the basis of this, what we're doing in this episode, is can they even bring back all of these characters, whether it be licensing, whether it just be a straight port, or will it be, again, a reworked fighting system, new mechanics, just all of these things up in the air and all of these things that we're kind of considering. But for our purposes, it is breaking down this list, going into the 4 categories. I think I'm kind of approaching this, Matt, with the foundation that not all characters will return, but it's it's going to be a revamped Smash Brothers with a lot more mechanics, which for sake of conversation, there's going to be gameplay elements that will also define why we can't bring everyone back and why we can't have that large of a roster, or you can't just port people over. So that's kind of how I'm approaching it as well. But Matt, looking at this list, starting off with the poster boy, Mr. Nintendo, Mario, Super Mario, Mario. Matt, I think this is a given.
Yeah, I do as well.
Mario will always be on a Smash Brothers cover, and he'll always be that first character in the select screen. And I think this is where it kind of gets dicey, Matt, where I know we were going to go one by one, but in theory, I feel like we need to tackle the first 8 like all at once in Mario, Donkey Kong, Link, Samus, Yoshi, Kirby, Fox, and Pikachu. Matt, this is the original 8.
Yes.
We were here with these characters in Smash and all the iterations. So I think before we go character by character, we need to talk about the original 8. Matt, do you think the original 8 characters, all 8 of them, will be present in the next Smash Brothers?
I think that all of the original 8 characters will be present in Smash Brothers.
Just because I think for me personally, it's just the legacy aspect of it. Not only is it a good kind of variety when it comes to, all the heavy hitters, all the big Nintendo franchises, but I feel like just that legacy aspect alone, this serves as your core roster in a way, regardless of how much, mechanics or how different the gameplay might be. But we get to our first Echo Fighter as well within, I guess, this first 8 in Dark Samus. Matt, how what do you think about Dark Samus's chances in general for the next Smash Brothers?
I don't think Dark Samus comes back as an individual character. I think at best Dark Samus comes back as a costume.
Yeah, costume for Samus, definitely, but since Dark Samus is an Echo Fighter, I think this also kind of begs the question, Matt. Do you think in the next Smash Brothers we see Echo Fighters return, or do you think if it really is a revamped Smash Brothers, a new take on Smash Brothers, that they don't, turn towards Echo Fighters to kind of beef up the roster, and instead each character has their own unique move sets?
I do not think that Echo Fighters are going to be coming back. I think that Echo Fighters were really just added in because, hey, this is the ultimate Smash Brothers. We're trying to bring everybody into it. And I think that with the, I guess, like, in essence, property reset, that I both don't think they should, and I don't think they will bring them back.
Yeah. I think with Echo Fighters in general, as you said, this was a way for them to really beef up the roster in itself. But at the same time, I also feel like the concept or the premise of an Echo Fighter just seems so, a relic of its time, where moving forward, I don't think with at least, sure, Matt, this is a party platformer brawler game, but when it comes to, I guess, just fighting games in general, I feel like we have gone past the quote unquote the clone character, the Echo character, where when you're presenting a base roster, everyone has to be kind of unique. Where again, I do think that, the Ryus, the Dans, the Shans, the Kens, that's from such an old time where, you had limited resources to create characters. And while you still, in theory, will have more limited resources when it comes to developing full-fledged fighters with their own unique movesets and properties, I don't know. I feel like if you were to start Smash anew, you can't lean into that concept of, the clone fighter, the Echo Fighter, where, when I see a Dark Samus, I think at best that's a color palette. Actually, at best it's a costume. At worst, it's a color palette. But so we do all agree that at least the first 8 characters in Mario, Donkey Kong, Link, Samus, Yoshi, Kirby, Fox, and Pikachu make the base roster or unlockable?
Base roster, I think, is the 8 are in the base roster.
Fair. Yep, and I can see that as well. Matt, moving on, our boy Luigi, the Death Stare, and I know this kind of goes against what I said about, this is the clone, like going against the Echo Fighter, the clone fighter, but I feel like also Luigi has been pretty much a unique character.
Luigi has a fully different moveset now, I believe. Yeah.
Where that, I guess, when we look at Luigi, Ness, Captain Falcon, Jigglypuff, we still have that legacy aspect to it. Where for these 4 characters in particular, do you see all of them returning, or I guess, I know we were saying character by character, but when we think about the original Smash cast, how are you feeling at the very least about the original unlockables?
I think that Luigi and Ness come back as starting characters. I think Captain Falcon is going to come back as an unlockable. I am iffy on if Jigglypuff makes it back. But I also know that Jigglypuff is more of a Japan ad, so I might just be having a cultural misread on that one.
Right. Where I think that's a good call, Matt, where we are kind of our our take on this list is, of course, through our, Western biased eyes, where, sometimes we do have to kind of consider the attachment to these characters, where Luigi, I can definitely see in the next Smash Brothers. I think Ness, just given, honestly, I think Jigglypuff, I can see returning as well. Maybe like Jigglypuff, Luigi. I think Jigglypuff would be unlockable. Luigi might be base. But if I had to be real, Matt, considering... Matt, I can honestly see Ness and Captain Falcon not returning in the next Smash Brothers. Mostly just because with Captain Falcon, I think what I'm basing this on is he seems like I could see him come back as a DLC character, but at the same time, if we're starting anew and we're trying to represent kind of Nintendo's past and, specifically more so present and future, I think with Earthbound, with Mother, and with F-Zero, those are two franchises that Nintendo has seemingly kind of left behind other than virtual console releases and, F-Zero 99 or whatever.
Honestly, Jeremy, kind of going with that same thought process, going back to the original 8, my biggest iffy one on there is honestly Fox. Like, I think if Fox didn't have such a Smash relevant following, in the same way that I kind of view Captain Falcon having the same Smash relevant following,
right?
I think Fox has, of the original 8, the highest possibility to be dropped.
I know where you're coming from in that regard, and I do agree, Matt. But in terms of Fox, hear me out, Matt. Hear me out. I could see Fox returning on the sole base, and that I know maybe this will kind of color how I'm going to approach us breaking down this list. But when I look at Fox, or when I look at Star Fox, Mother, and F-Zero, I think Star Fox is the most likely of the 3 franchises that will get some sort of adaptation.
Oh, yeah.
Where that's the basis of, I feel like there's crossover appeal, mainstream crossover appeal with Star Fox in terms of maybe a kid's show, maybe something on streaming more than Captain Falcon and F-Zero, more than Ness on Earthbound. And let's face it, if they did release a localized version of Mother 3, I would be here championing for Ness and eventually Lucas. But seemingly I feel like every now and then any Mother news to come out, especially the virtual console release, is just to kind of appease this, a fan base that's clamoring for something and Nintendo just doesn't want to acknowledge them. Where, yeah, I think for me, it's Luigi, it's Jigglypuff, Ness, and Captain Falcon. I think ultimately Captain Falcon I could see as DLC, but if I had to be firm, I say Ness and Captain Falcon just don't show up at all. But Matt, I think this is where it gets a bit interesting.
Yes,
something I want to get your discuss with you. I'm looking at Peach and Daisy, where we've briefly talked about this before. Where Matt, if in a perfect world, if Smash Brothers Ultimate kind of comes back and they're able to bring it plays relatively the same and they bring back as many characters as they can, I do feel like when that Princess Peach Showtime trailer was first announced or first revealed, one of our conversations was, okay, this is how you differentiate Peach and Daisy in Smash coming up, where Peach will have a new moveset that is based off Showtime, and Daisy just inherits Peach's old moveset. Where, Matt, kind of with that in mind, with Showtime in mind, how do you see Peach and Daisy in the next Smash Brothers?
I think that Peach, if she comes back with a show... Okay, first off, I think Peach is coming back for sure as a starting character. If she transitions into a Showtime version of Peach, I think Daisy doesn't come back at all. If she maintains her current moveset for the most part, I think Daisy becomes a costume.
Yep. I think regardless, Daisy becomes at least her color palette, as we've seen before. At the again, kind of with Dark Salmon, is at best a costume out versus a color palette. But depending on how much is reworked, even if, just elements of Peach's moveset returns to Smash, if this is, being built from the ground up, if this is being tweaked, I can also just see Peach having a completely new moveset, maybe one or two moves that are reminiscent of the old Smash. But yeah, I think, again, it's the Echo Fighters issue where I don't think Daisy has that popularity. As much as I like Daisy as a character, I don't think she kind of stands on her own to kind of warrant even carrying on the legacy moveset if Peach has a completely different moveset. So I think we're in agreement there. And Matt, we got Bowser, the big bad. We got Jack Black, where Matt is Bowser. How do you feel about Bowser?
I think Bowser comes back as an unlockable. Like, I don't see him getting dropped at all.
If there's some sort of story aspect, whether it be a subspace or something, you do need your villains, and I think Bowser on his own. I also don't think we've seen, a character like him since. Where you got to bring back Bowser. I think that's safe to say.
Do you think he's unlockable, or do you think he's a starter though?
I think with Bowser, yeah, I can see him being unlockable. Just him being a boss, not necessarily the big boss, but a boss character that you can unlock depending on how this game is structured. Matt, if this is like a wish list adjacent, I do think there will be some sort of, I'm hoping a character story aspect, or even roguelite aspect where there will be boss characters. So I think Bowser is a lock there to unlockable. But Matt, we got the duo. We have Ice Climbers. I think this is where I'm also kind of getting iffy as well, Matt. But I think for me personally, when I look at Ice Climbers, again, I think unique moveset, of course, but I feel like if you're going to throw a bone to retro characters, and, characters that kind of haven't received a new, update or a new entry to their series, I think there are other options than Ice Climbers where I don't think we see Ice Climbers come back personally. But how about you, Matt?
Yeah, I also agree. I don't think Ice Climbers is going to be coming back because I think they're almost like too unique of a character to put time into, I guess, recreating.
Yeah, just because they're dual aspect, I think, I don't know. It's just hard, and I kind of don't see them. Matt, again, when I think about a new Smash Brothers, I kind of think about the markability of their roster. Yeah. And Matt, Ice Climbers isn't pushing, no offense to the Ice Climber mains, Ice Climbers isn't pushing units. But who can potentially push units, Matt?
Who?
I'm looking at Sheik and Zelda. So Matt, again, when Zelda and Sheik were introduced, we had that switching mechanic, and then they were eventually separated. So I think, Matt, when we look at Sheik and Zelda, how do you think they potentially factor into a next Smash?
I think Sheik is not coming back. And I think Zelda switches to a Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom Zelda.
Oh, that's a good point, Matt. We got to go back to our boy Link. Where do you think Link is new incarnation or whatever for the next Smash? Do you think that would be based on kind of the classic Link, I guess, characteristics that we know from, say, whether it be a Link to the Past, Ocarina, just the traditional Zeldas? Or do you think his moveset kind of adapts things we've seen with Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom?
I mean, we already have Breath of the Wild Link in Ultimate.
But do we have Ultra Hand?
Yeah, I don't see how you integrate Ultra Hand into Smash. I think maybe his hookshot grab changes to an Ultra Hand grab, But in terms of like the building mechanics, I'm not really sure where that goes, especially since there's no like real I guess consistent things that Link builds. Do you know what I mean? Because compared to
Yeah, yeah,
Steve, like
yeah.
he just puts blocks to like build platforms, and he has like his train, he has TNT, yeah, and the cart. I mean, and they're all very defined things, whereas Link doesn't have that, and I don't know how it gets integrated into, I guess, the game itself.
Matt, you're telling me that the iconic Tears of the Kingdom vehicle of two fans
And a
and
bike.
yeah, and
Jaren,
yeah,
if if uh, if they do bring in something from Tears of the Kingdom, and it's not that his up B changes to that, I'm gonna riot.
fair enough, Matt, fair enough. But I guess if Zelda was going to be, adapting her kind of presentation in, Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild, how what differences do you think we see in potentially a new Zelda character?
I was more so imagining it as the kind of more like magic castery side that you see with Zelda in kind of the flashback stuff for Tears of the Kingdom,
Right.
where she's much more of a magic caster. She does like fight alongside what's his name, Rauru, during
Yeah.
like the wars and stuff. Like I think that iteration of Zelda is what I'm expecting if it's Tears of the Kingdom or Breath of the Wild Zelda.
Okay, fair, Matt, fair.
Hmm.
But moving on, exploring the rest of the melee characters, Matt.
I mean, Jaren, do you think that they split or like not come back?
Honestly, I feel when I think Sheik, and then like eventually Zero Suit Samus when we get there.
Hmm.
I honestly, I know this is kind of spoiling what we go ahead with Sheik and Zero Suit Samus. I also feel like these two characters don't come back,
Hmm.
where we have their prominent counterparts that are more defined. And if we were, looking for that agile, fighter that's more kind of rush down, maybe potentially glass cannon ish, I feel like that fighting archetype could be taken by a potential newcomer
Mm.
where yeah, I feel like with Sheik, with Zero Suit Samus, if depending on how quote unquote limited the roster will be, I think those two in particular would be kind of pushed to the side. I don't see them as DLC. I don't see them as unlockable. Just because I feel like you can represent that archetype with potentially a newcomer while still representing those characters in their original form. So
Hmm.
that's kind of how I see it. And in terms of how Zelda would play, yeah, I would be curious just to see if maybe we see, again, with a Link, if it's more of a hybrid, showing you the greatest hits. But in terms of, I think, with the Breath of the Wild, with the Tears of the Kingdom, Zelda, I feel like she's been presented to be a lot more hands-on
Hmm.
with without a Sheik counterpart. So I would be really curious to see how they would design her
Hmm.
with these two latest titles. But Matt,
Hmm.
the dicey part,
Hmm.
Dr. Mario, Pichu, Falco. I think Matt, I'm gonna go
Uh
on
huh.
the limb here and say Dr. Mario, Pichu, nope, gone.
No, they're gone. Yeah, I think that as well.
And depend if we're going with our trying to avoid the echoes, trying to avoid the clones, and even though with Falco, Fox, and Wolf, I still think they belong in the same family. Where I don't know, Matt. I don't think Falco has a place in a new Smash Brothers, but
I
that's just
agree.
me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't think Falco comes back.
yeah. Depending if we're trying to cut down the list, I feel like unless you're a major franchise with defining characteristics, yeah, I think it would be hard to bring back a Falco. It would be hard to bring back a Wolf. Maybe Matt, this might be Crystal's time to shine, but I don't even know. As we
Has she
said, even
been
if
in a
Fox is kind of
property ever? Has she been in a property lately?
I couldn't tell you, Matt. But again, with Star Fox not really having any real relevance in 2024, it would be hard to push for more Star Fox representation than Fox. But Matt, you know what always has representation in the Smash Brothers game? We're looking, Matt. Let's just get this out of the way. Marth, Lucina, Roy, and Chrom.
Okay, we're skipping. Okay.
We're not necessarily skipping, but we're going Fire Emblem. Matt, everyone loves Awakening, but how do you see them representing Fire Emblem moving forward? And do you think Marth, Lucina, Roy, and Chrom in some capacity have a place in a new Smash Brothers?
I think of those 4 Fire Emblem characters, everybody but Lucina gets dropped. And Lucina becomes unlockable.
You keep Lucina over Marth. I guess Roy and Chrom.
I think you keep Lucina over Marth. I think that's more of a Western read on it, though. But coming from me, I think Roy and Chrom are gone for sure.
Yep.
Yes. I don't think that they have a chance of coming back. But Lucina and Marth is the toss-up, and I don't know. I feel like maybe Girl Marth has a better chance of coming back than.
I mean, with Lucina, you can put her in a mask and she becomes a Marth. So, yeah, actually, again, this might be my Western bias as well, but everyone liked Awakening, and I like Lucina. So I have my Lucina bias where I think she would return. And I think, as weird as it's going, as this sounds, Matt, I feel like Lucina, in a way, kind of represents that, older era of, Fire Emblem, where I think, depending on how many Fire Emblem characters they want, any additional Fire Emblem characters may skew towards newer Fire Emblem entries. But I can see Lucina being that representation of, quote unquote, older Fire Emblem, even though Lucina is kind of, I guess she's still technically modern, but I still point towards, 3 Houses and as really modern Fire Emblem right now. But Matt, I guess we agree. Lucina. So you said unlockable?
I think unlockable.
Yeah, I think unlockable's fair. Unlockable's fair. Matt, Young Link, I think pretty obvious.
Yeah, he's back for sure. Starting character.
Definitely starting character. Gone. Matt, I feel like with Ganondorf, if you bring him back, you have to completely rework him.
Yeah, I agree. I personally would want Ganondorf back as an unlockable character, and I would want him to move away from the Captain Falcon moveset. Where
I think even just how we've seen him in Tears of the Kingdom, even in, I guess not necessarily Breath of the Wild, but just his look in Tears of the Kingdom just looks so menacing.
Yeah.
Where I feel like he deserves his own moveset, and I feel like if you're dropping Captain Falcon, that moveset has no place in, I guess, a new Smash going forward, where I agree unlockable on the basis of you need your big bads. And I think alongside Bowser would be a good, mid-boss or mini-boss, sub-boss character to fight and unlock. But Matt, kind of similar in that realm. How do you feel about Mewtwo?
I don't think Mewtwo comes back. I think that Mewtwo is a strong character, but I don't think he's coming back. Especially, it's really enunciated for me by the fact that he's already been dropped once.
Yes. And the fact that if we're looking at, again, representation, if Pikachu comes back and Jigglypuff comes back, I know it's, been a toss-up for the both of us for Jigglypuff, but there's your 151. That's for your old heads, Matt. You don't need Mewtwo there, unfortunately, even though I like Mewtwo. Roy, Chrom, we agreed. Matt? Mr. Game & Watch.
I mean, coming off of that, like quote talk about, I guess like representation, I would want Game and Watch back, but for some reason, I just feel like Game and Watch isn't coming back.
Yeah, I feel like we're going to get some sort of retro representation in some form, but I know, Matt, we're skipping ahead a bit, but between Mr. Game and Watch, Rob, Duck Hunt, and arguably Little Mac, I feel like those are hard returns in my opinion for a new
Oh,
Smash
really?
Brothers.
You think all of those are hard returns?
Yes, I think all the old characters are hard returns. Where I think when we might get to them specifically, we can further discuss it. But I think we'll eventually have to have the conversation of how likely are third parties going to return, and depending on where we fall on that, I think that might be where you get your quote unquote not NES SNES representation. But I think for now, Mr. Game and Watch, I think that's a hard character to bring back. Again, plus we don't know what style this game will kind of take on, but I think Mr. Game and Watch would be kind of jarring for your new Smash Brothers, at least in 2024, 2025. Matt, Meta Knight, the Meta Monster, from what I believe, was the Wii days. But where do you fall on our first Brawl character?
Jared, I'm iffy. I think at best he comes back as an unlockable character.
Yeah. I think at best, if he does return, unlockable. Kind of, yeah. It's kind of hard where I'm on the fence with Meta Knight as well, where I can also see him coming back, but I can also see him kind of. Then again, I don't know who you really. Well, there are
of the characters so far, Jaren. I think that Meta Knight is for me the, I guess, first one where I think it'll be replaced.
Right.
I think he has a strong chance to be replaced by something like Bandana D or one of the Waddle D iterations.
Really?
Yeah.
Matt, I feel like if you bring Bandana D into Kirby to replace a Meta Knight, I feel like you're just doing Meta Knight real dirty. That doesn't sit right with me.
I don't know. I'm just I'm only leaning that way because I think Bandana D was the co-op in the most recent Kirby game.
Yeah, as someone who played the most recent Kirby co-op, yep, I was Bandana D, and that was not a good time.
Oh, that
if I had to be completely honest. But I feel like Meta Knight at best, I could see him, if not unlockable, at the very least DLC, just because I could see Meta Knight as DLC if he doesn't make the base game in any form. But I think that's just because he's a pretty strong. Actually, Matt, if we were going to do it this way, I think Meta Knight feels like a good season 2. Assuming there's 2 seasons of DLC, Meta Knight feels like a good season 2 character.
Oh, man.
Where, not necessarily first priority for DLC, but I could see him in a second season. Matt? Actually, speaking about kind of retro representation, I think Pit, I could see either being a base character or unlockable, and maybe that's the catch-all for kind of the retro characters. But as an extension, Dark Pit would be at best a costume, at worst a palette change. But Matt, I feel like there. Do you think Pit's soft spot is that because Sakurai worked on Kid Icarus, or am I getting that mixed up?
Maybe, Jaron. I also have a bias towards Pit, which is why I believe Pit's gonna come back as a starting character.
Right. Okay.
But I don't know. Pit is, I think Pit is solidly going to be in the game.
Right.
But I want him to be a starting character, but I don't know if it's going to be a starting character.
All right. That's fair, Matt. That's fair. But I can see Pit returning, at least in the base game. Zero Suit Samus, yeah, man, reiterate, I don't think she comes back.
I think Zero Suit Samus is my first pick for DLC character.
Ooh, DLC character. I could first wave or second wave, Matt.
I think Zero Suit Samus is a Wave 1 DLC character.
Okay. Ooh, interesting. I think this is where I disagree, Matt, where I think with Zero Suit Samus, you can get, similar to Sheik, you can get another agile fighter to represent that archetype, but I don't know. Again, for me personally, Matt, well, I guess by the time a Smash or whatever comes out, Metroid Prime 4 will be out. So maybe, but I don't know. Zero Suit Samus to me is a harder sell, even as much as I do like a Zero Suit Samus. But I could see her being DLC as well. But Matt, we have Wario. I think Wario is also an interesting character where... Matt, what's your call for Wario?
I think Wario comes back as an unlockable.
Oh, yeah, within that kind of villain anti-hero role. Where, Matt, I want Wario to, like... Do you think he comes back as, your brawler character, or do you somehow make him go full WarioWare at this point?
No, I don't think he ever goes full WarioWare. Okay. I think the state of Wario currently is how Wario's going to return.
Okay, fair enough. Matt, I guess other question, since I know doing newcomers would be such a daunting, and this is already probably going to run long. Do you think WarioWare gets another character representation, or do you think Wario in himself is enough?
Not at all. The closest thing that you're gonna get to another like WarioWare representation is Waluigi, and Waluigi's like never gonna join Super Smash Brothers as a playable character.
Fair enough. Matt, our first third-party character in Snake, such a groundbreaking reveal when Brawl was first announced. I still remember, talking to, I think, Julian, I think at school when the trailer dropped and saying, oh my God, Snake's going to be in Smash Brothers. And Julian going, what? No, that doesn't make sense. That's illegal. But Matt, no way Snake comes back.
No way Snake comes back. No way Snake comes back.
Just the current state of Konami? No, I don't think. They might want to, but I feel like that's too many hoops to jump in for Snake.
Yeah, I don't think he's back at all.
Matt? How about Ike?
I don't think Ike comes back.
Yeah. If you want a character with like a big double-handed weapon, I think Edelgard, or however you pronounce her name, makes it in way before Ike does. Sorry, Ike. Matt? Pokemon Trainer... Squirtle, Ivysaur, Charizard.
I think Pokemon Trainer comes back without Squirtle, Ivysaur, and Charizard.
Oh, just other Wait,
do you think
other starters?
Yeah, I think Pokemon Trainer comes back with a different Pokemon roster.
Okay, fair. That's fair. So something that's kind of more modern. Right. Okay, yeah, I think that's fair, Matt. I think that... Matt, do you think it's a player character, or do you think it's a named character?
What do you mean?
Like, do you think it's a trainer, like, your default player character when you start a game, or do you think they possibly pivot to, you play as Red, or you play as a gym leader, or
no, I don't think you play as a named character. I think you are a generic Pokemon trainer, and they come in with a party of like the new starters or something.
Okay, fair.
Yeah,
fair.
I mean, do you think they're coming back?
I can see that. I feel like you have to have a Pokemon trainer. And I do agree where I thought moving forward, ever since Pokemon Trainer was revealed, way back, that we would get, here's, obviously this is Kanto Pokemon Trainer. Maybe we'll get, the Johto one or whatever region. But I feel like, again, going back to Pikachu and Jigglypuff, if they were to make it, well, if Jigglypuff were to make it, that's your 151 representation. This is where you start to branch off to the newer Pokemon. And honestly, if Pokemon Trainer returns and, they have 3 Pokemon that represent, the new generations, I feel like that's all the Pokemon characters you have, like, in a new game. And potentially we see another one as DLC. But I guess we can talk about that when we get to more of the Pokemon, but that's personally how I see it, where moving forward, you only get, depending on how limited the roster is, it's Pikachu, potentially Jigglypuff, and whatever Pokemon trainer this is for your base game, where I do think Pokemon trainer is a base game character. But Matt, how do you feel about Diddy Kong?
I'm very iffy on Diddy Kong. If I had to make like a hard call, I think Diddy Kong isn't coming back.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I think at most, Matt, I see Diddy Kong to me, if he were to come back, is like a Wave 2 DLC character to me. Where, you know, he's not first ballot. He's not really selling the first season of DLC, but he's there to kind of pad out a second one in theory. But that's kind of how I see it, where, yeah, I don't see Diddy Kong making a base roster in any capacity, potentially DLC. Lucas, same thing as what I said with Ness. Matt, I don't think they're going to bring back any mother characters in a new... I think the most you'll see as a Ness, but even then, I don't think you bring back a mother character.
Yeah, I don't think Lucas makes it back either.
Man, I like Lucas too. Okay, Matt, here we go.
Here we go.
Second, third-party character. Matt, how do you feel about Sonic in a new Smash Brothers?
I think Sonic comes back as an unlockable character.
Ooh, unlockable. Matt, I think I'm iffy. I think Sonic has to be a base game if you're, playing with third parties, partners. But wasn't there a report that I saw like some news headline a while back or recently about, Sega saying, new Sonic game didn't sell as well because of Super Mario Wonder. Matt, is there bad blood between Sega and Nintendo in 2025 or 2024?
I mean, I don't think there's enough bad blood to not include Sonic in New Smash.
Yeah, I feel like at this point, Sonic is a Smash character where if there are a limited number of third-party characters, Sonic has to be one of them, in my opinion.
I think Sonic... The only condition where Sonic doesn't make it back is if there's like Sega Smash Bros.
Fair enough. Yeah, okay, yeah, fair enough, Matt. Fair enough. But I feel like you try to get Sonic as one of your base roster.
Oh, so you think he's a starting character?
Yeah, I think Sonic would have to be a starting character. But I can see him being unlockable as well. Matt, back to Kirby, King Dedede. Matt, I don't know about King Dedede, to be honest. Maybe this is just my personal bias, but if Meta Knight doesn't make base roster, I don't think King Dedede makes base roster. I know he is a villain, but I feel like there are other villains you can pull, but that's just me.
I'm actually, I guess, looking over my thing now. I think I might swap out Dedede as an unlockable and like maybe move Meta Knight to not coming back. I think only one of them is in this game.
Right. And you think they would skew towards King Dedede?
I think they would skew towards King Dedede, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, fair, Matt. I think for me personally, I don't think... Maybe this is just me not wanting King Dedede back, but yeah, I feel like it's either Meta Knight or King Dedede at this point. And I feel like Kirby has enough of pull to have like multiple characters in a base game. But yeah, I think King Dedede at most is unlockable, but me personally,
actually, yeah, if King Dedede is in, I think Meta Knight moves to, for me, DLC.
Yeah. At the very least, Wave 2. We have Captain Olimar.
Jiren, I don't like playing as Olimar, but I think
Fair.
Pikmin has enough like clout that Olimar is an unlockable.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that. Matt. Where
do you agree with this, or
I feel like Pikmin 4 was well received enough to you have to throw Pikmin a bone, and again, the costumes make themselves. You can just alternate between all the different captains. So I feel like Olimar has to. Yeah, I think Olimar would make a fun unlockable character. Matt, Lucario.
I think Lucario is in, which is why going back, I thought Jigglypuff would be out.
Okay. Where I think for me, I I don't see Lucario returning, but I'm maybe that's my 151 Jigglypuff bias. But for you, Matt, Lucario unlockable DLC?
I think Lucario comes back as an unlockable character because, like,
Okay.
to me, Lucario lives, and like I guess like kind of like going ahead. I think that Lucario and Greninja, as far as like the Pokemon anime go, live within the same realm where I think one of those two is going to be in.
Oh, fair, Matt. Fair. I guess we can just jump to Greninja as well, where again, I think for me, you have two Pokemon, and I'm gonna die on my Pikachu Jigglypuff Hill plus Pokemon Trainer, where I think other than those technically five characters, I don't see any more Pokemon in this game. But for you personally, Matt, is it Lucario over Greninja?
I personally think that if I had to make a bet,
Yeah.
Lucario is in over Greninja.
Okay.
In my heart, I would want Greninja over Lucario.
Fair, Matt. Fair. I think between the two, I would lean towards Lucario, but yeah, I don't think they return. Matt, I know this is skipping ahead, but since we're on the topic of Pokemon, how about Incineroar for you?
So I don't think Incineroar's coming back.
Yeah, no, Matt. I do want a wrestling character or a wrestling inspired character, but I think I feel like that archetype could be better used on a different character, in my opinion. But Matt, moving on, we have, Rob. I think I noted previously where I think Rob is a unique character, but I think for me it would be a harder inclusion for a new Smash Brothers. Where I don't see a Rob coming back. But how about you, Matt?
Yeah, I also do not see a Rob coming back. I think I think Rob is too old
Yeah,
to come back.
yeah. I feel like it was novel at the time, but I don't know if this is the new hotness. Yeah, I don't think Rob takes up a slot.
Yeah.
I don't think Toon Link takes up a slot.
Same.
And I don't think Wolf takes up a slot as well.
Same.
But Matt, we have Villager, Animal Crossing, and I guess let's tie them together. Matt, how do you feel about Villager and Isabelle?
I think Villager comes back as a base character. I think Isabelle is dropped or costumed.
Yeah, costume at most. I don't think Isabelle. Again, if we're looking at limited slots, yeah, it is Villager in itself with like different costs. And yeah, Isabelle, I could see a costume, but yeah, I like Isabelle, Matt, but yeah, unfortunately, I don't think she comes back. Matt,
But do you think like Villager is an unlockable, or do you think they're a starter?
I think starter. Animal Crossing's too popular not to be a starter, in my opinion. Matt, another third-party character in Mega Man.
Jaren, I love Mega Man. I don't think he comes back, or I think Mega Man comes back as DLC.
Really, I think so. Matt, kind of as I said with Sonic, I feel like if you only had like a limited amount of third-party characters, I feel like Mega Man has to be one of the ones you go after. Where even I'm not saying I'm putting like a limit of like 3 third-party characters, but if say there was only 3 third-party characters, it's Sonic, it's Mega Man, or like your two characters you have to go for. I feel like for me personally, Mega Man is also such a Smash character at this point because, Matt, let's face it, Capcom's not doing anything with Mega Man. The most we have is the latest Mega Man thing I saw from Capcom is if I do the Battle Pass for Street Fighter this season, I'll get Mega Man cosmetics for my avatar. So I feel like Mega Man, this is where he can get his proper dues kind of in the modern era. And I think Mega Man, if Nintendo approached Capcom, they would say, you know what, go for it. Where that's kind of where I sit with Mega Man, where if he is, I feel like base game if he does come back. But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on him. Matt? This is going to break my heart, but I think we both will probably, maybe we'll see. Matt, how do you think about Wii Fit Trainer?
I am iffy on if Wii Fit Trainer comes back. I think that a Wii Fit Trainer is another candidate to be replaced
Right.
by like the more modern version of like what's it called? Ring Fit. Whoever the hell is in Ring Fit.
Oh, right. Because Matt, I was gonna say, yeah, I can actually see the Wii Fit Trainer being replaced by Ring Fit person as, the quote unquote meme, like non-expected character where, yeah, I feel like Ring Fit in some way replaces a Wii Fit Trainer. I think at the most we can potentially, if there's a refit or Ring Fit, I don't know, character, maybe Wii Fit Trainer at best, costume at worst, palette swap in my opinion. But Matt, Rosalina and Luma.
Jaron, this is a weird one for me because I honestly don't know if Rosalina and Luma like really come up outside of Galaxy. Like, have they? I guess in like out of the Mario Karts and stuff like that.
Matt, I know where you're coming from, but I think given the popularity, okay, Matt, I think Rosalina comes back on this whole basis is I think she plays a part in the next Mario movie. I think that's like the only basis I have. Not that that's confirmed or whatever, but
unlockable or base.
I feel like I could see base in my. Okay, if she's in the movie base, but I don't know. I feel like Rosalina is also a base character in my opinion. I could see her playing a part in the story, but I don't know. I don't think I guess I'm approaching it with, kind of like more so anti-heroes and the villains as kind of your unlockable characters. But I don't know. If Rosalina plays a part in the movie, I feel like that's a unit mover. Kids are going to watch that movie and want to play Rosalina in their Smash Brothers. But that's how I feel. But Matt, are you still on the fence with her, or?
I'm a lot more iffy. If Rosalina shows up in the movie, I can see her coming in. If Galaxy 3 drops on Switch 2, I can see that being a thing. But right now, as it currently stands, I think Rosalina becomes a costume for Peach.
Fair. Oh, yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Matt? This is going to break my heart. This is going to break my heart, Matt. I love Little Mac.
Yep.
There's no way a Punch-Out character makes it in a new Smash Brothers.
No, I don't. I don't think Little Mac makes
The Little Mac experiment was fun at the time, Matt, but you need a character with aerial. So
yeah.
Sorry, Mac. Greninja, we discussed, Matt. How do you feel about a Mii character in a new Smash Brothers?
I think that for me, this is again another candidate for being replaced. I think Mii Swordsman, Gunner, and whatever the last one is, Fighter, don't come back in their current form. I think they get replaced by a version of like the what is it called? It's just called like the Switch sports games.
Oh, right.
Like, you know how they're not Mii's, but they're generic looking people. I think like that comes in and replaces the Mii Fighters, and they're just doing different sports things.
I think this might be a personal bias again, Matt, where I feel like Nintendo doesn't push Mii's at all anymore.
Yeah.
And maybe it's just because I live in my own bubble, but I don't think we even see a sports equivalent where I don't think, to me personally, like that sports game for Switch, like didn't move the world as I thought it would.
I don't think it did.
Where, yeah, I don't think you see a Mii Fighter or like a sports equivalent, in my opinion. Matt? Palutena.
Nope.
Yeah. If we were debating that hard on Pit, no, sorry, Palutena. Matt, how do you feel about Pac-Man?
I don't think Pac-Man comes back.
Yeah, I think, again, if I go back to my random 3 third-party characters only, Pac-Man isn't one of those 3, in my opinion. If Namco does come back to support, I think at best Pac-Man might be a DLC character. I feel like Pac-Man is a wave 1. You use Pac-Man to pat him out as a guest character, in my opinion. Matt, How do you feel about Robin?
I don't think Robin comes back.
Yeah, same. Again, if you have Lucina kind of representing that older, Fire Emblem, like quote unquote older Fire Emblem, yeah, I don't think Robin has a place moving forward in Smash. Matt, how do you feel about Shulk?
I think Shulk comes back as a base character.
Ooh, base character, really?
I think Xenoblade or like his series in general just has like enough clout now that he'll come back as a base character. And I'm looking at my base characters right now in Jaren. I just feel like I don't have enough swords in here.
Oh man, really? I feel, for me personally, Matt, I feel like there's going to be a Xenoblade representative.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess a Legacy. I can see Shulk coming back. I can see him being a base character, but I'm more so on the fence with Shulk, where I can totally see him being replaced by a newer character, in my opinion. And I think this will be very apparent very soon. But moving on, Matt, Bowser Jr.
I think Bowser Jr. comes back as an unlockable, but like that's such a iffy one for me.
Yeah, especially with the Koopa kids. Yeah, I can kind of see. I guess when you factor in like the Koopa Kid aspect, yeah, I can see Bowser Jr. being an unlockable. Plus, like it kind of helps pad out, a potential story in my head. So yeah, I can kind of see Bowser Jr. being unlockable. Not, briefly mentioned earlier, but how do you feel about Duck Hunt?
I don't think Duck Hunt makes it back.
Yeah, again, I think Duck Hunt is a fun pull, but. Yeah, I don't know. In terms of retro representation, if you bring back Mega Man, if you bring, arguably Sonic, I don't know. I don't feel like Duck Hunt has a place as well. That potentially might break my heart, but potentially not. How do you feel about Ryu and Ken, third-party characters?
I think Ken doesn't make it back at all. I think at best Ryu is DLC.
Yeah, I can see Ryu being potentially a Wave 1 DLC. But I can see Ryu be DLC where if we're talking about Capcom rep, if there is a Capcom rep on the base roster, that would point to Mega Man for me. Matt? Is Square Enix going to play ball?
I think at best, I don't think Cloud is a character in the game outside of DLC.
I feel like in terms of Square representation, I feel like you're more likely going to get a Dragon, Quest character before we see a Cloud, in my opinion. Where if, we heard all of these different reports about, how Square originally wanted Cloud to be a DLC, where, yeah, I think at best we see, I don't think Cloud makes base. I don't think he makes, unlockable. I think at best Cloud would be DLC, but even then, to be honest, I think I'm really iffy when it comes to the Square side of things. But yeah, I would hope to see Cloud in some capacity because Matt, I still think back to Cloud being just how insane the Cloud announcement was for Smash. And I don't know, I just don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I think like the fact that like the Final Fantasy VII remakes are still like going to still be happening whenever Switch 2 Smash comes out. That's what's making Cloud a stronger pick, right? Of like all the Square reps,
right? That's fair. Where I can see Cloud being DLC at most. Matt. Again, we're looking at Fire Emblem. How do you feel about Corrin?
I don't think Corrin makes it.
Yeah. No, I don't think Corrin makes it either. I feel like, no. Maybe that's just my bias as well, but I have no attachment to Corrin.
Yeah, I think that's where I am as well.
Yeah. Bayonetta.
Nope. I don't think Bayonetta comes back, to be honest.
Really? Okay. Maybe this is me wish listing and personal bias. Matt, I think Bayonetta... I think it's hard, Matt, just because I do think with Nintendo having a hand in publishing Bayonetta moving forward, I feel like
okay, I didn't know that. Okay.
they would try to get Bayonetta still. Where I can see her, I can actually see Bayonetta being an unlockable character. Where she plays a part in the story, is like revealed, helps helps your crew fight the big bads. Where I feel like Bayonetta would be an unlockable character for me personally. But Matt, if there's one thing other than Smash that we like here on the Mistake Zone, it is Splatoon. Matt, how do you see Inkling factoring into the next base character?
Inkling is a base character.
Yeah, definitely base character for me. That's the multiplayer game on the Switch. So other than Mario Kart, of course, but Inkling definitely. Matt, is he too big?
Too big. Game
is Ridley too big for the next Smash?
The game is too small to fit Ridley.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like Ridley would be a harder character to bring back, in my opinion. But he would fit into that villain role where I can potentially see unlockable, but that, I think, given of what I've said previously about Samus and I guess Metroid representation, would be a hard sell. Where if the biggest if somehow there's a Metroid related media spin-off, I could see Ridley being DLC, but I don't think Ridley comes back. Matt, how do you feel about Castlevania representation in Simon and Richter?
Honestly, I would want Simon to come back.
Yes.
I don't think they're going to make it.
Yeah. Again, Matt, I think it's hard where, again, I'm going back to my limited third-party characters where I think Simon would be a nice pick. Also to kind of represent, kind of classic retro games. And I would like Simon to be back. I think DLC at best, but I lean towards not likely coming back. And then Richter, of course, being a costume or palette swap. Matt, how do you feel about King K. Rool?
I think King K. Rool has potential to be an unlockable character, but I'm not internally sold on that.
Yeah. Where he fits the villain role, where I would put unlockable, and I can kind of see, I would, if he does appear, it would be unlockable, but I'm also on the fence of not, returning at all as well. We went through Isabelle, nope. Incineroar, nope. Matt, we finally made it to the DLC characters.
Yes.
Let's start it off, Matt. Piranha Plant.
No.
Nope.
Nope.
Big nope. Okay, Matt. How do you feel about Joker from Persona 5?
I think that Persona 6 has a good chance of DLC character if it hits the same way as Persona 5.
Yeah, I feel like if Matt, maybe this is politicking going on. If Sonic makes it in, I do think, and depending on how it launches, I think Persona has enough sway. Then again, this could be my own bias, where I could see a Persona DLC character. I don't think a Persona character is a base character or unlockable. I think this is a perfect DLC character, especially if Reloaded comes to the Switch and Persona 6 eventually launches on the Switch 2. Reloaded comes to the Switch 2. Matt, how do you feel about the Dragon Quest hero?
I think that if Cloud doesn't make DLC, Dragon Quest makes DLC. Yeah.
So I think we both agree. You don't think base game?
I don't think Dragon Quest makes it into like the game itself. Yeah,
I think the hero character Dragon Quest representative would be a good DLC character. Similar to this. Matt, Banjo-Kazooie.
Nope, I don't think they're coming back.
I think Banjo-Kazooie is a good DLC character in my opinion. I feel like Matt, if Microsoft wants to be that publisher, I feel like Banjo-Kazooie might be a good, just a goodwill play for just users in general, just the kind of legacy that Banjo-Kazooie has with the N64, in my opinion. Again, that is personal bias, but I think realistically speaking, the quote-unquote Microsoft rep, I think Matt, let's just get into it. How do you feel about Steve and Alex?
I I think they have a decent chance to be unlockable, to be honest.
Okay. Matt,
Hmm.
actually, now that I think about it, yeah, if there are three third party characters in the game, yeah, I think I would gravitate towards Sonic, Mega Man, and Steve and Alex for to round it off. Where, yeah, I think in terms of the quote unquote Microsoft rep, you go for Steve over Banjo in 2024. Uh, but yeah, I can see them being unlockable, to be honest. Matt,
Hmm.
how do you think of Terry?
I don't think Terry's coming back
Yeah.
at all.
I feel like if you don't bring back Ree, I think Terry is a hard to bring back. Matt,
Hmm.
since we're here in fighting games, Kazuya,
Nope.
think comes
I don't
no,
think Kazuma comes
yeah,
back either.
yeah. I feel like if if Namco is working on the game in some capacity, you that's Pac-Man. Pac-Man's your DLC character in that regards.
Hmm. Hmm.
Matt, how do you feel about Byleth?
I don't think Byleth comes back. I think they're replaced by like the person from Engage.
Oh, okay. Where I feel like with the success of Three Houses, do you think any of the three kids makes the game in some form?
I don't think so.
Really?
I think that Three Houses is too old of a game now.
Damn that.
Hmm.
That's fair. Matt, I'm still holding I'm still holding hope for Edelgard, but Matt,
Hmm.
how are you feeling about Min Min?
I think Min Min has a decent chance of being unlockable.
Hmm. Okay.
I feel like ARMS is a property that like Nintendo is going to try again with
Right.
in
Switch
Switch 2.
2. Yeah.
And I think that having Min Min or another ARMS representative is going to be a thing for Smash.
Matt,
Hmm.
I do agree that we'll see an ARMS representative, but I feel like if we do see an ARMS character in Smash, there'll be DLC similar to how Min Min was.
Hmm.
But me personally, Matt, you got to do it for the freaks out there like me. Bring in Twintel. do, do it, do it, Reggie. Do it, Miyamoto. Matt, moving on. Sephiroth.
I
Nope.
don't think Sephiroth
Yeah,
is
big
coming
no.
back.
I feel like, honestly, between, again, moving on ahead again, Cloud, Sephiroth, Sora, I feel like Cloud is the most likely one. And at best, that's, again, DLC.
Hmm.
And finally, Matt, the last character of Smash Ultimate, we have Pyra and Mithra.
It's not the last character. It's Pyra, Mithra, and we still have Sora, don't we?
Oh, I grouped Sora with Sephiroth and Cloud right now.
Oh, okay.
But-
yeah, okay.
but-
yeah.
but-
So Sora, I don't think was gonna come back anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah,
But how do you feel about Pyra and Mithra?
I think Pyra, Mithra come back as an unlockable character.
I think that's fair, Matt. I think that's fair. Where I think in a world I see them, yeah, being in the base game as unlockable. I actually see them and like their Switch gimmick, especially if Samus and Zelda are their own characters. That Pyra and Mithra still, is that Switch character where I can also see them be in the game over a Shulk, but there's still being a second Xenoblade character from like one of the recent games.
Mm-hmm.
But Matt, we somehow did it. We somehow managed to kind of go through the list of Smash Ultimate and see who might be returning, who might be DLC, who might be unlockable, and who's a big nope. But Matt, curveball. I know we didn't really discuss this, but in terms of newcomer, who would be your most wanted newcomer in a new Smash?
Honestly, Jaren, I've always wanted Bomberman in a Smash game, but Bomberman is never going to join Smash, and I can't really think of any like new like Nintendo properties that debuted on the Switch.
Right.
other than like arms, I guess. But
yeah, Matt, like I think it was good to kind of go through the roster like this, just realizing how complete it really is. Where I think in a perfect world, if they can somehow bring everyone back, that would be, the best case scenario. And you kind of just add to this roster. Sure, it's going to be a balancing nightmare, but you kind of just add instead of take away. And I think that would be kind of the best thing. But I think, Matt, does Gino ever have a place in Smash Brothers?
Not other than as a costume for someone.
Oh, man, Matt. That was a beefy boy episode, and I think Matt, put it in the vault, save that list, and let's see how right we were when the Switch 2 comes out. Hopefully not, Matt. Realistically, Switch 2 launches in a year from now, March 2025. When do we see the new Smash Brothers in whatever form it takes? Do you? I
think a year after that.
So 2026.
Yeah, I think here's what I'm thinking. Switch 2 comes out, a new property comes out, and that new property is in Smash. That's kind of what I'm expecting to happen.
Okay,
I'm looking at my Smash list. I think there's like way too many people in my Smash list because I have like 34 people.
Yeah,
I think base game.
I think Matt. Next time we need a vault episode, we take our list. And then we further narrow it down. But I think this one, Matt, this was a good part 1.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Jared, we still need to record one more of these episodes. So, maybe.
We'll figure out, Matt, who knows? Maybe I'll go on vacation this year. And maybe we'll save it on the vault and we'll continue to whittle down this list. But for now, Matt, I think this has been a good beefy boy episode for the vault. Matt, I hope you're enjoying your time in Japan right now. And as always, I want to thank you for joining me this week. And of course, editing this podcast.
Yo, Jared, thanks. As always, I want to thank you for hosting this fine podcast of ours for Jared. We've been at this for like 12 years now.
It's disgusting, Matt. But Matt, no one else I would rather do it with. Than one of my best friends in the whole wide world. So Matt, thank you again. I want to thank Miyamoto. Matt, I want to thank Twintel for the freaks out there.
I mean, Joe, we also got to thank Sakurai, of course.
Yep, got to thank Sakurai. Matt, I hope he takes a break. But Matt, I don't know, Matt. Maybe we'll see him back.
Jared,
maybe.
One of my favorite things about like Sakurai is that if you just Google him, you know how Google kind of just has the pre-populated questions?
Right.
I like that the very first one is, did Sakurai sell his son?
Jesus. Oh, Matt. To answer my question that I asked you, I want to be in the next Smash Brothers. Matt,
oh, man.
Give us freaks what we want.
Jared, was Nier Automata even on a Nintendo console?
Yeah, there was that, their Game of the Year equivalent with like some bonus costumes as well. Okay. Where I kind of want to get, but I'm also, I really do like the Xbox version and how that played. So I don't know, maybe I'll double dip for collection purposes, but give us what we want. 2Bs in a lot of fighting games, put her in Smash. But Matt, beefy boy episode, beefy boy list of characters. And with that, please take it away.
This has been the Mistake Zone, and we're all out of Little Mac and Smash.
I hate it, Matt. I hate it.